everyone, and welcome to the Your Health is Important Facebook Live broadcast. I am Dr. MJ Collier, your host, producer, and on-air personality, and I'm here to answer all of your healthcare questions. We are live on Facebook here this evening on Wednesday, and we know that you have lots of options, lots of things that you can do. So we greatly appreciate you joining us this evening. So just remember, give us where you're coming in from, your name, so that we can acknowledge you. And we're looking forward to getting the show started. So thank you very, very much. And we're here this evening to do it. Okay. So thank you. That's our theme music, In the Stone by Earth, Wind, and Fire, circa 19. So we're so glad to have you here this evening. And I am Dr. MJ Collier once again. And we're here to talk to you about all things medical. And we're going to talk about those hot topics, which of course start off with and always will with the, hey, Antoinette Hunter from Grayson, Georgia. I don't recall seeing Grayson, Georgia being represented before. So thank you for joining us this evening. Shantae Washington Anthony. Hello, Shantae. We greatly appreciate you for joining us as well. Carolyn Bree from Orlando, Florida. Okay, so we got Georgia, we got Florida. LaDonna from Dallas, Texas. LaDonna, I'm going to be in Dallas doing a talk in a few weeks in October. I'm going to talk about it on my next Facebook Live presentation. So hope you get a chance to meet you face to face. LaDonna from Dallas, Texas. Demetria Jackson Hunter from Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay, we're moving up the East Coast now and moving to the Midwest. So let's go see if we can get anybody from California. Tina Robinson from Houston. Hey, Tina. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon or this evening. Okay, we're in Phoenix City, Alabama, one of my favorite cities. I love driving through Phoenix City. It is just really a city on the move. So many nice people there. Anton Crosby watching live from home in Phoenix, Arizona. Antoine, you are the man. Calling from Phoenix, Arizona. Teresa Lamar, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Okay, we are uptown, downtown, north, south, east, and west. And we got somebody from Cali, Janetta Gauss from Cali. From the background of that picture, I think you mean California. I hope so. Shreveport, Louisiana, check it in. Hope you drive that Jeremy Mitchell, because Shreveport is one of my favorite cities. Melissa Jordan from Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Now we're moving along the south, Overtown, Miami. Thank you, J. Slim Jackson. We're so glad that you joined us from Miami. Also one of my favorite cities. But I tell you, I love every city that people are calling and coming from. St. Louis, Missouri, great friends and great fellowship in St. Louis. Really, really like visiting St. Louis, home of where the beer comes from, and you can really have a brewery there that's absolutely incredible. Janika Petty, Richmond, Virginia. Thank you so much, Janika. We're so glad that you joined us as well. Diane Waymires from Columbia, South Carolina. Hey, how you doing, darling? Thank you so much for joining us today. So, okay, we're going to pause for a second. I'm going to start opening up some of our topics. So thank you so much for joining us once again. And remember, tell us who you are and where you're from so that we can acknowledge you and let you know how much we appreciate you being here. Our broadcast is brought to you by Lipo Drops. Go to the website, lipodrops.com. Lose the muffin top with Lipo Drops. You can learn how to lose that weight. Get ready for all of your holiday functions that are coming up. We want to make sure that when you go to you're out for the first time in 2 years, your holiday parties, your Christmas parties, your Halloween parties, that you are looking absolutely the best that you can look. And remember, you can accomplish that objective with the Lipo Drops product line. So if you can follow me on all social media at Ask Dr. MJ, Ask Dr. MJ, you can see it. And so follow me and I'll follow you back, I promise, and we'll stay in constant contact. You can DM me if you like, and we'd be happy to communicate with you from that perspective. So remember, the website is lipodrops.com. We have lots of information on there. There are specific pages that are dedicated to just bringing you health information. So you can look on there and you can see questions and answers about things like the coronavirus, about things like high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. Just general health information that we're bringing to you. So the big news is coronavirus. The Pfizer vaccine, they announced on Monday that the vaccine was found to be safe in ages 5 to 12. So 12 down to age 5 now. So they are applying for an emergency use authorization, or EUA, so that vaccine will be readily available for young people. There are 28 million people in that age group in the United States, and only for the age group that's down from 18 to 12, there's only 19 million. So we have a and one, a baby boom that's coming up, but two, a substantial number of people that are vaccine eligible that have not gotten the vaccine, and this is going to help tremendously making it available. Now, Moderna has also announced that their vaccine studies in young people is also, the results will be available. People have asked me to say, well, what will be the dose of the Pfizer vaccine? It's going to be 1/3 the dose that you give under age 12 for adolescents that are older, 12 to 18, and adults. It's going to be 1/3 of that dose. So it's found to be effective. It's found to be safe. But hold the bus. Yesterday, Johnson and Johnson announced that a second dose of the J&J vaccine, a second dose of the single dose J&J vaccine, boosts your immune system amazingly and has virtually 100% protection from severe disease and hospitalization. So this vaccine was number 3 on Dr. Collier's list, but it's moving up with a bullet. One, because it has great efficacy against the Delta variant of the coronavirus, and we found it to be very effective in doing so, but with a 2-dose regimen. And that's what we're looking at now. We don't even want to say a booster shot of the Johnson & Johnson. We'll just say a more effective 2-dose regimen. We found that at 5 months out from your first shot, the second dose will give you great benefit and you will have great immunity to the coronavirus. So protect yourself, protect your family. I have so many patients now that are discordant. You know, one family member, the husband or the wife, has gotten the vaccine and the other one has not. One catches the disease, the other one catches the disease. One gets over it and gets better, the other one is hospitalized. I have one of my favorite families in that situation right now. Both of them got it. Both of them had not had either of the vaccines. They were both very sick, but the wife has improved tremendously, but the husband is hospitalized and on a ventilator and not doing well. So we're keeping out our prayers for him and his family, and we want to make sure that you and your family are protected. So the only treatments that we have available now, the active treatment, is with the antibody infusion therapy. And they are giving what started off as just an infusion. Now they're actually giving just regular injections of the antibodies as well. There are 3 formulations. The one that you're probably hearing the most about is the Regeneron. But for the 3 that are available, they are in now short supply. 2 months ago, they could not give it away. Okay, it was available everywhere. It was expiring. People were just not taking it. But now with the new impact that this pandemic wave is having on us, people are going to the hospital, they're being admitted, and they're being given the infusions. So that has made a shortage in the infusion, so the infusion product. So it's not as readily available, and people are having difficulty getting it. With it being in short supply, the federal government took over distribution, and they now have the supply, and they are spreading it out, hopefully in areas where you have higher concentrations of people that are testing positive in a sicker patient population. Now, the question is being asked in the medical community. People that have gotten the coronavirus, recuperated from the coronavirus, and have natural immunity, as well as those individuals that have gotten either of the vaccines, should you use the antibody therapy in those persons? Because the chances are that they're going to have a much milder infection and that they're going to actually recuperate from it. So should you use this in those individuals, or should you restrict it to, a better way of looking at that question, should you restrict the use of the antibody infusions, the only active therapy that is available, to individuals that have not been vaccinated? So because they have no protection, no immunity, no ability to fight the infection, and these are the people that are dying. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So we have a major problem here now in that decision. Or should we penalize them for not having gotten vaccinated and not make it available to them, and only make it available to people who have been vaccinated, but who just may happen to have a breakthrough infection? So these are the decisions that are being made on a minute-to-minute basis, and things change on a minute-to-minute basis, depending upon who you are, where you are, the amount of infection in your community, the amount of immunization in your community, etc. So very important, very important, very important. If you have not been vaccinated, please get the vaccine. My order of preference is the following, and this is Dr. Collier's medical opinion. One, the Moderna vaccine, two, the Pfizer, three, the Johnson and Johnson, in that order. And remember that the Johnson and Johnson has been associated with the myocarditis, the inflammation of the heart in adolescents, as well as the unusual clotting, particularly in the brain and particularly in women of childbearing age. So when it was put on hold about a year ago, they I thought that they might even take it off the market, but they did not. And but what they did do was suggest, they did not restrict, did not demand. They suggested that women of childbearing age, in other words, you need to be older than 45, and then the vaccine is probably safe. So under that, you're at higher risk for these unusual clots that were happening in people. And this was the thing that was observed, because people get clots from vaccines. People get clots for a variety of reasons, but these clots were, in the brain. And this just is such a rare phenomenon. It just rarely happens. And so when they were seeing this multiple times in multiple people, it was a red flag. And so this made them stop and evaluate the efficacy and safety of the vaccine. Was the risk worth the benefit risk ratio? All of that was where they were going with that. And so it was ultimately decided that the Johnson & Johnson was a vaccine that you could use. There's another adenovirus vaccine on the market, the AstraZeneca vaccine. Has not been approved in the United States. It does not even have emergency use authorization, but it is being utilized a lot across the water in Europe, and in other countries, Germany, Africa, etc. So it's out there. It's being utilized. They just didn't want to go through the process to get approval for use in the United States. So one of the reasons was that we had 3 vaccines that were approved so far, and that they were proved to be safe, and we have plenty of it. So there was just no reason to add a 4th one to the mix. So now we're looking at it from that perspective. Those are the 3 vaccines that are available. You make a choice, but just choose to get vaccinated. Choose to get vaccinated. Let's go down some of the concerns that people have about vaccination. Let's talk about some of the myths we can debunk right now. 1, the vaccine inhibits your ability to get pregnant if you're a woman of childbearing age, or it causes miscarriages. This has been found not only not to be true, but there's actually been a baby boom during the pandemic when everybody was stuck at home, Netflix and chilling. They were Netflix, chilling, and doing one more thing, which has resulted in a baby boom. And the frequency of pregnancies in women of childbearing age actually has increased, as well as the spontaneous abortion rate or miscarriage rate has decreased. So we have not seen any impact from that perspective on patients that have had the vaccine. It does not negatively impact pregnancy, your ability to conceive, or your ability to carry a viable pregnancy to term. So there's the organization for obstetrics and gynecology called ACOG, ACOG, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, ACOG. They have made a complete and commitment statement. If you're a woman, you should get the vaccine. If you're a woman that is pregnant, you should get the vaccine no matter what stage of pregnancy you are in, no matter what. So first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, just like the flu shots now. If you are pregnant, you're at higher risk for disease and poor outcome because your immune system is weakened by the pregnancy state so that your body does not reject the developing fetus. So they came out with the statement 6 months ago that said, as a woman, you should take the vaccine at any point during pregnancy. The benefit of that as well is that once you deliver, if you breastfeed the baby will get immunity from you. So even though they are going to take the vaccine down to age 5, that does not cover children, newborns to age 5. So breastfeeding, however, will cover them. So you can pass the antibodies on, great protection to the children. So let's do that. Let's consider that. Let's see if that myth has been debunked. And I know a lot of you heard about the question about the gentleman in Trinidad who supposedly got the vaccine and then his testicles swelled up and he became infertile. He was engaged to be married, and because his testicles swelled up and he was infertile, his fiance ended the engagement and they are not getting married. This has been debunked and found to be not a made up story, but not true in all forms and fashion. that if that did happen, if a person had the swollen testicles and they were now infertile, it wasn't because of the vaccination. There was some other disease process in play. But the entire scenario, I think, has been debunked by the public health department there. And so you don't have to worry about that being a real issue. Um, the vaccine was just made too quickly. They made it too quickly. We don't know what or how they did it. Well, that is not true. The vaccine technology has existed for 15 years here in the United States. They had the technology. They just did not have the coronavirus to target the vaccine to. Once the coronavirus reared its ugly head and they were able to identify it and genetically code it or decode it, then they were able to target the vaccine to it. So that is the reason that it happened so quickly, because it was just there waiting. It was just a matter of deciding how to aim that arrow or that bullet so that it would be on target for this virus. So that is not true. The technology has been around. The technology is not new. It has been tested safely. There was thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the studies before the first vaccine dose was given to the general public. And there have been no deaths associated with the vaccine. Although if you Google on the internet, you're going to get a lot of anecdotal stories. There has been no documentation. Don't you think, listeners, don't you think that this was happening? Nobody could keep it a secret. It's oftentimes when people come to me with some magical medicine that they've heard. Men come in with stuff. Oh, I heard about this stuff for erectile dysfunction. Or diabetics come in and say, I heard about this pill that will cure my diabetes. I say, don't you think that if something like that actually did exist, that it would be impossible to keep it a secret? There are so many people on this earth that are diabetic that would be a problem. So you would not be able to keep that a secret. Nobody, everybody would know who, what, when, and where, the origin, the makeup, everything else that was there. It would be impossible to keep that secret. So it would be the same thing with an erectile dysfunction drug. It would be the same thing if people were literally dying because they were getting the vaccine with the millions and millions and millions of doses that have been given around the world. This would be a red flag. People would be talking about it. It would be out there. It would, particularly with social media's reach now, it would be all over so quickly that would be impossible to hide this. So no, people are not dying from the vaccine. The vaccine has nothing in it that is disease causing. So on my radio show this morning, I had a question about, I got the coronavirus vaccine and the next week I had coronavirus. Well, there's nothing in the vaccine that can give you disease. There's nothing in it that is disease causing. The vaccine does not contain coronavirus. Early on in the history of immunizations, people would get what's called attenuated viruses as a vaccine. In other words, you get a weakened virus that would give you the disease, but hopefully the case was so mild that once you recuperated, you would have natural immunity. And so that was the early versions of the flu vaccine. That's why when people got the flu vaccine, it made them sick. It did. And hopefully it would be a mild case, but in a lot of people, it was a bad case of the flu. So people, including Dr. Collier, would not take the flu vaccine. However, the new flu vaccine is a totally different technology. There's nothing in the flu vaccine that can cause disease or give you the flu. There's nothing in any of the coronavirus vaccines that are disease causing and that can give you either the coronavirus or the flu. So myth debunked. You should not have to worry about that, catching the disease from it. So when you ask the question, I'm not sure what's in it. And when I hear people saying, well, they made it too quickly, I love the fact that people that I had no idea, they're just walking around with top of mind knowledge on the time that it takes to generate and create a new vaccine. So all the vaccines that are out there, the HPV vaccine, the hepatitis vaccine, all these vaccines out there, I haven't heard a single person say, oh, they made it too quickly, or it came along in an appropriate timeline, because normally it takes 3 to 5 years to make a vaccine, and it was right there in the 3 to 5 year period of time. So I feel very comfortable with this new vaccine because it was generated in the right amount of time to make a vaccine. Well, this is just, not most people's level of awareness. Let's put it that way. So you don't have to be concerned about that. Remember, the technology is not new. It's been here for 15 years. It was just targeted for that. It is also going to be targeted toward a variety of other viral illnesses. We just literally haven't had time to do it because we're right now focused so much on this pandemic that is affecting the entire world that they haven't had a chance to target it to HIV. They haven't had a chance to target it to hepatitis. One of the things they have targeted it to are various cancers. So you're going to see a major revolution in the way that we treat cancers now, particularly cancers that are difficult to treat. As of now, colon cancer, the easiest to diagnose, the easiest to treat, the easiest to recuperate from, the easiest to say that I'm a cancer survivor. Breast cancer, prostate cancer. There are going to be vaccines that are targeted to those cancer cells that will protect your body from getting those cancers, but more importantly, not do damage to your normal body's tissues like virtually every other treatment that we have. The chemotherapies, the radiation therapies, all of them have as a sequela that they do damage. The objective is to do less damage to normal and good tissue than it does to the affected tissue or to the cancer. That is a delicate balancing act, and oftentimes and every time you have to weigh the good versus the bad when doing so. Whether you're going to benefit more from the treatment or is the treatment going to be worse than the disease. With these new mRNA vaccines that will be targeted toward cancers, we're going to have a major differential in how that works. So you're going to see some people recuperating, people living with, people that are stage 4. When you hear the term stage 4, they're going to get these vaccines. It's going to literally remove the cancer from their bodies because your own immune system will attack the cancers. They will recognize it as not you. They will attack it. They will eradicate it just as they do bacterial infections, viral infections, fungal infections, all these things that your immune system are fighting on a continuous basis, on a daily basis, 24/7, protecting you when you have a normally functioning immune system. So how do you boost your immune system so that you can benefit and protect yourself from all these infections that are out there? We are now in full-fledged allergy season. It is ragweed season. The weather is changing dramatically within the next few days. I heard the weatherman say we're now going to fall weather. The temperature is going to be 50 degrees in the morning in Atlanta in the next day or so. Right now it's still high 70s, sometimes in the 80s. I have to get up in the morning, exercise, and go outside. And it is hot. I have to take off my cover shirt because it's too hot. Now it's going to be too cold. So I have to make sure that I'm covered appropriately and layered to protect myself. So one of the things you can do to boost your immune system, the lipoimmune product, which contains vitamin C. Vitamin C is very effective in boosting the immune system. It also contains zinc, and it contains elderberry extract. All have been identified as great supplements that will boost your immune system and improve your immune system function. The great thing I like about the lipoimmune product, particularly with the zinc, is that when you take zinc, you get benefit day one, tab one. It starts to fight infections. We have known this about vitamin C. There are multiple products out and one of the most familiar with is airborne. People are all familiar with it. They all use it. They get a cold, they take airborne because they know first dose, you start to get benefiting. Your immune system is hypercharged and you're fighting the infection. So vitamin C, very effective. Vitamin zinc is very effective. I mean, not vitamin zinc, but zinc, which is mineral. Zinc, vitamin C, and elderberry extract. Elderberry extract is just a natural anti-infectious agent that has been utilized for centuries by tribal individuals, by Indians, by Asians, by people that know that understand this. Most medical products started off plant-based. Mother Nature provides us with everything that we need. And so throughout history, there have been medicine men, there have been root doctors, there have been people that knew exactly what you needed to treat what the symptom was that you had. And, it was amazing that these therapies oftentimes have proven to be very effective. And then large pharmaceutical companies will come, identify and isolate the molecule, and then patent it, and then charge you ridiculous amounts of money for what you could go out and dig up in your yard previously or go in the woods to find, etc. So in our lipoimmune product, we have those three things. And the great thing about the lipoimmune product is it decreases your pill burden, because one of the things that I found, because I take Dr. Collier's trifecta every day. That's the probiotics, the vitamin D or Doctor's D, and the omega-3 fish oil. So that's three pills right there. If I'm having to take zinc and elderberry extract and vitamin C, that's three additional pills. So that's a total of six pills before my day is started, and not counting anything else that I may want to take for whatever reason, including things like aspirin, Tylenol, anti-inflammatory medications like Motrin, Advil, or Aleve. So to decrease the pill burden, that's one great thing about the lipoimmune product, that it gives you everything that you need. We also have the Doctor's D. That combination of those three plus one, the elderberry extract, the zinc, the vitamin C, and the vitamin D3 that's found in the Doctor's D product, all combined to form the ultimate immune system supplement and booster. So you add probiotics, which are God's gift to the GI tract as far as allergy and immunology are concerned. And then omega-3 fish oil, a natural anti-inflammatory that also protects you and decreases your chances of having a heart attack or a stroke. So all of these things are what we call our immune pack. And they are things that we highly recommend that you take on a daily basis, supplementing yourself to improve your overall health. Now, one of the things we talked about and that you have heard from day one, and it's not being emphasized enough. One of the biggest risk factors for infectious diseases like influenza, the coronavirus, streptococcal pneumonia, staphylococcal skin infections, etc., is being overweight, particularly if you're obese or even morbidly obese. So weight loss will decrease your risk factors and will benefit virtually any disease state that you have. It can be depression, it can be arthritis, it can be back pain, knee pain, it can be high blood pressure, it can be diabetes. Weight loss will help with any of those disease states, and it doesn't have to be a dramatic weight loss. If you weigh 300 pounds or 400 pounds and you lose 10% of your body weight, you are not ideally matched at that point. But the dramatic change that shift makes in your health is absolutely incredible. So it's important that you do that. Right now, if you go to our website, lipodrops.com, we had a Lipo Drops formula with African mango. That is a great combination because it results in greater weight loss. It decreases your appetite substantially and enhances your metabolism and metabolic function. I've now seen a couple of things being advertised on the internet talking about altering your metabolism. Well, guess what? LipoDrops formulation has been doing that for 15 years. So we've been telling you that the way to lose weight is not by restricting your calories. You do want to restrict your calories somewhat, but any weight loss program that does that's your strip mall weight loss programs. That's your Jenny Craig's. That's your quick weight loss. That's your Weight Watchers. They count your calories. They improve your calorie function. And what happens is your body is burning more calories on a day-to-day basis that is taking in. That results in weight loss 100% of the time. So if you do what they ask you to do, exactly the way they ask you to do it, you will lose weight. The problem with most individuals are that as soon as they stop doing that, they will gain back weight and exceed usually their starting weight. So the average weight loss on a program like that is 20 to 30 pounds. Most people gain back 30 to 40. And when you gain the weight back, you have altered your body's somatotype because you increase your body's fat percentage and decrease your body's muscle mass when you yo-yo up and down in that manner. So the best way, and the way that we have adopted is the opportunity to alter and improve your metabolism so that your body is more efficiently metabolizing the calories that you're utilizing your carbohydrates as fuel and not your fat, and burning your fat and not storing your fat. When your body goes into starvation mode, the next time you eat, your body says, hey, I don't know the next time I'm going to eat. I don't know, and I need fuel on standby. The body's fuel on standby is fat. So when you starve yourself, when you do eat, your body converts those foods into fat and stores those fats because your brain says, I don't know when the next time I'm going to eat, so I need food readily available. But when you feed your body, and one of the diet programs that we advocate is eating 5 times per day. That's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, with a snack in between breakfast and lunch, a snack in between lunch and dinner. When that happens, your body never goes into starvation state. It realizes after a few days that, hey, Not only do I not need to store food as fat, I can let go of some of the fat that I have stored because I have food and calories and energy and fuel, fresh fuel, coming in on a regular basis. Every 3 to 4 hours, I'm getting fresh fuel. So I don't need to store fuel. So this is the scenario where people are eating more than they traditionally have eaten and they lose weight. And this was just totally, completely amazing when the thesis first was developed. People say, "Oh, this can't work. You're eating too much. You're eating around the clock. This is just not going to work." Yet it did, because your body is smarter than we are. Your metabolic process altered itself and changed, and then it started to release fat. Now, the other diet methodology that we advocate is intermittent fasting. With intermittent fasting, you eat everything that you're going to eat within some fixed 8 hour period, whatever that period is you designated. And the thing is that you don't vary from it, although you can make that 8 hour period a different 8 hour period on different days, depending upon what's going on, what time you're waking up, etc. You might be able to alter it somewhat. But the point being that you eat whatever you're going to eat within an 8 hour period, and ideally the same 8 hour period throughout the day. But again, with the flexibility to change it, say on the weekends, or instead of having what we call cheat days, this doesn't require you to cheat. It just allows you to change the period of time during which you're eating. Most people choose a time like 9 to 5 or even 10 to 6 p.m. That way they can get a breakfast in early in the morning, a lunch, and a dinner. If you try not to eat anything after 6 p.m., you will notice that your body will just start to melt. Notice I haven't even discussed what you're eating, because what you're eating in that 8 hour fast is not as important as it is of when you're eating. So what you're eating is, you can't live on Krispy Kreme donuts and cakes and pies in that 8 hour period. But if you eat a reasonably healthy diet, then you're going to find that just by targeting that 8 hour period, that your body is literally going to melt. So with our lipo drops with African mango, which alters your metabolism, decreases your appetite, from what I understand, on our website now, there's a promotion going on where it's 2 for 1. You can get the lipo drops with African mango 2 for 1. 2 for 1, 2 for 1. So you and your friend, you and your mate, you and your weight loss partner, and weight loss is like a smoking sensation, or even when you're trying to monitor how much you're drinking. It's always better when you have a partner to do this with, because you can, when one person gets weak or slack or whatever, the other person can be the person say, "No, we're not going to eat right now. We're not going to do this, or we're not going to do that." So it's good to have a partner when you're doing so. Or it'll just, you get 2 for 1. That means you have a 2 month supply instead of a 1 month supply. So that will get you through October, November. That means you'll be ready for your Christmas parties in December, and in your Thanksgiving get-togethers in November, etc. You'll be able to accomplish your weight loss objective. So we're going to open it up now for questions. I want our producer, Antonio, please start scrolling the questions, and we'll answer them best as we can. What is a good intestine cleaner? Carolyn Brink. There are many and there are several, but let's differentiate between what we call a laxative and a cleanse. The term cleanse has been adopted by a lot of laxatives, and when you go into that section of the drugstore now, it says cleanse instead of laxatives. And so there are things that are actual cleansers that will clean you out in a day. There are some products that do it in 3 days. There are some cleansers that last up to 1 week. And then there are other products that don't cause diarrhea, but they will cleanse you out by causing you to have large and easy to pass bowel movements. That is where our Lipo Cleanse product is that type of product. And you can literally take our Lipo Cleanse on a daily basis. And that's one of the things that we do, particularly to accomplish that flat belly. If your stomach is bulging and you're having difficulty with your bowel movements, the Lipo Cleanse is a great product for that, because it is not a laxative. It will not cause or result in uncontrolled bowel movements or bowel movements that have a sense of urgency. It's just that when you do go, and you will be going regularly, it will be large and easy to pass, and you will find that you're doing that. But for a good intestinal cleaner, I will go all the way even to a colon cleanse with an enema, or even there are places you can go to get a colon cleansing that will literally wash your intestines out. It's a one-stop process. You go, They inject the water, and then you let it out. And it's a very clean circumstance. It's not messy or smelly or anything like that at all, but it does clean you out thoroughly. Now, some people love that feeling. Some people find it a bit uncomfortable and don't like it. Now, understand though, if you do something really dramatic to empty your colon, once you start back eating, it may be up to 3 days before you actually have a normal bowel movement again, because the transit time of the gut in the United States is about 3 days. So when you eat something, if you get the urge to go and you have a bowel movement, it's not what you just ate, it's what you ate 3 days ago. And that's part of the problem, that we retain a stew far too long here in the United States. In other places where the diet is very high in fiber, like in Africa, the transit time is less than 1 day. And that's why it's very difficult to find an overweight African. Most Africans are lean until they come to the United States. They come to the United States and start eating what we eat, and then they may start to gain a little weight. But in the natural environment, eating the foods that they normally do, then you'll find that their transit time is a day or less, versus in the United States, our transit time for the gut is about 3 days. So that's the answer to that question. Good clothing clean is a great idea. Okay, Coracle Wright. My question is, why is omega-3 probiotics, vitamin D3 so potent? They and it provides the body with those things, those abilities to perform the metabolic tests that your body normally can do, but it needs some supplements to do so. A lot of things, particularly like with weight loss, no problem when you're in an adolescent or you're a teenager. It's just you can lose weight if you need to lose weight. Most of the time, you can pretty much eat whatever you like and not gain any weight. If you can remember those good old days, or for the ladies when they say, "Oh, I have a social function on Saturday, so I need to lose 5 pounds," and they just drink an extra glass of water starting Monday, and they lose 5 pounds by Friday. Well, as we age, our body loses those amino acids that are necessary for appropriate metabolism. And we can supplement them, and that's what our lipo drops products do. They give you what your body needs. Omega-3, again, is a natural anti-inflammatory, and the vast majority of disease processes that are negative in the body, from high blood pressure to diabetes to just being overweight, are due to inflammation, or there's an inflammatory component. The coronavirus causes damage to your lungs because of inflammation. If you calm that inflammation down, you're not going to have such a bad outcome. Which is why, instead of my patients test positive for that disease or any other disease, I start treating them aggressively with supplements like vitamin D and omega-3 fish oil, because it decreases the inflammation in the body and hopefully will minimize their disease state. Probiotics have just been found to be absolutely incredible because they help repair and address food allergies, amongst other things. But if you notice in our society now, there's more asthma. Everybody has asthma. Everybody has allergies. They have continuous runny nose. Everybody has eczema, itchy skin, psoriasis, all these things that have a strong allergic component to them. And if you are able to block your body's exposure to various food proteins, which is what probiotics will do in the leaky gut syndrome, then your body isn't always fighting those things. So it's much more available to fight other inflammatory states and just improve your overall health. So same thing with vitamin D3. There are two vitamin Ds, vitamin D2, which has to be converted in your body to the active component, vitamin D3, or the preferred or active component. Now, cut out the middleman, because some people convert vitamin D2 to vitamin D3 very efficiently and effectively. Others do not. And so they can take 5,000 international units of vitamin D2, and by the time they have metabolized it, their active conversion to vitamin D3 may be 1,000 milligrams or less, or 1,000 international units is the term, or less. Whereas if you take 5,000 international units of vitamin D3, you're getting 5,000 international units of vitamin D3. So you are getting exactly what you need and the actual component that's going to give you the greatest benefit, which is why I use vitamin D3 exclusively. And our Doctor's D product is vitamin D3 at the 5,000 international unit dose, which is found to be the most effective in boosting the immune system. Great question. Anton Crosby, would you still say that Moderna vaccine has more antibodies than the other vaccines? It doesn't have more antibodies. It makes your body make more antibodies because it's twice as potent as the Pfizer vaccine is. And you cannot compare the Pfizer and the Moderna to the Johnson & Johnson. The Johnson & Johnson is an adenovirus vaccine, and it's a different mechanism. So the Moderna makes your body make more of the antibodies that you need to fight the infection. But the point being, if you only need let's give it a count of 1,000. It's actually much less than that, but let's use the number 1,000. If 1,000 is very effective and all you need to kill the coronavirus, the coronavirus, or any other virus for that matter, and the vaccine gives you 3,000 antibodies, do you need those extra antibodies? Does it make you fight the disease better? Is there a benefit to having the extra antibodies in this situation? And that's one of the reasons that there was pushback on the booster shots, because it was found that the boosters would increase the antibody counts in individuals by 1,000-fold, 3,000-fold. But the point was, is that necessary? Do you need that much? How much is enough to have an effective disease fighting agent in your body? Do you need that much? So the answer to your question is, the Moderna does cause your body to produce more antibodies than the other two vaccines. It is without question the most potent. And but the question is, how much more potency do you need? The better answer to the question is that the Moderna and the Pfizer are both very effective in fighting the coronavirus, and the Johnson & Johnson is very effective and also specifically seems targeted to the Delta variant of the coronavirus. But as Dr. Collier has told you, there's a MU variant that's waiting to rear its ugly head. It has 9 mutations versus the Delta variant, which has 4 mutations on its in its genetic structure. So the reason that the MU has not taken over is because 99.8% of infections are now with the Delta variant. So it just has no place to go. But once the Delta variant starts to slow down, the Mu variant may become dominant. That's why it's so important right now. We have a window, an opportunity to immunize everybody and get everybody ready and obtain herd immunity before the next big variant comes out and rears its ugly head. So that window is closing right now. It's very important. I don't know why we had a rush to get the vaccine, and then it just slow adopters, and then now it's just, people just aren't getting it for whatever reason. We're now not only people at a point where people are being vaccine resistant, they are being almost militant about not getting it. So we've gone from vaccine reluctance and resistance to people just locked now in their posture of, I don't want to get it. And I think part of that is because the amount of time that has passed and people saying no. And once a person gets locked into no, it's just human nature to stay into no. So great question, Anton. I appreciate you, sir. Okay, San P. Jones. My concern is giving the vaccine to children with allergies as the season is changing and the sneezing has started. Well, one thing that we have noted is that one of the symptoms of the Delta variant is sneezing. That was not a big symptom with the Alpha variant, the original coronavirus vaccine. But with the Delta, sneezing is one of the big symptoms that differentiates it from so. But you get the allergies under control, make sure those children are taking one of the non-sedating antihistamines, and they have liquid doses that are available for children of virtually every age and with appropriate dosing information. So I know Claritin has a liquid formula, Zysol has a liquid formula, Allegra has a liquid formula. So all of those are available, and you keep those allergies under control and then get that child immunized as soon as the immunization is available for their age group. That is going to be the most effective way. If not, we're in for a very, very tough winter. Because with the combination of the flu, just basic cough, colds, and bronchitis that people get when the temperature changes, and the coronavirus, we're going to have a lot of hospitals that are filled with patients with respiratory disease and symptoms, shortness of breath, coughing, wheezing, low oxygen saturations, requiring oxygen therapy at minimum, requiring ventilators at maximum, and we just don't have the infrastructure to do that, to take care of all of these people. The healthcare system is collapsing because it is being overwhelmed with sick people right now. There are hospitals where they are putting people in parking decks. They're erecting tents and putting people in parking decks because there's just no place inside the hospital to treat them. So let's be smart. Let's make sure that, hey, from Augusta, Georgia, down there, my alma mater, Medical College of Georgia, thank you so much. Marlene Labradio Kennedy. My mom wants to know what could be the reason she's having pain from her lower back, down her leg into her knee, left side. That is a classic description of sciatica. That the problem is in the back, the nerve that comes down the leg. There's nothing else that causes that. And so if the pain starts in the back and radiates down the leg, it's down going to the knee, it can actually go to the calf and then all the way down to the foot, depending upon the amount of pressure that's placed on that sciatic nerve. So it's very important that she try to get control of that now. Primary treatment is an anti-inflammatory, a muscle relaxant, preferably a non-sedating muscle relaxant. Sometimes just pain medications in general. Physical therapy is very effective in doing so. And chiropractic manipulation. This is the time to get to know your chiropractor. If you go to the chiropractor and have a few sessions, you might get marked and total and complete relief. You might get some benefit, or you might not get any benefit at all. It just depends. But if you do get benefit, then make a regular maintenance schedule to minimize this problem, because it can be if you have a bad back and the pain starts going down one leg, it will soon be going down the other leg. It can be caused by a bulging disc. But no matter what the etiology, the primary therapy, and one of the most effective, is tincture of time. In other words, you just take time to heal, and physical therapy. Then you can go all the way to injections in those areas, to even surgery to relieve pressure on the nerves. All of that depends as the disease progresses. But surgery is always, in Dr. Collier's mind, the final option. I would try every possible other treatment first, and then if the surgery is the final option, the only thing that will give you relief, then go for it. Okay, great question, Marlene. Okay, Danielle Jones, should a probiotic be taken every day? Yes, you can. Can too many supplements cause weight gain? No, supplements have no calories in them. They shouldn't cause any problems with your weight. But probiotics are elegant. Dr. Collier takes them every day to do so. But if you want to alternate it with something, you can. Yogurt is basically probiotics. So preferably a Greek style yogurt or the Activia. Activia, the Activia brand, has the highest level of probiotics in it than most of the yogurts. But yogurt is a treat. Most people enjoy it. It's almost like eating ice cream, and it's very, very healthy for us. And that's why countries where yogurt is a staple in the diet, people eat it almost every day, particularly with their breakfasts. They are very, very healthy, and they live a long and healthy life. They don't die from heart attacks and strokes the way that we do. So I greatly recommend that taking a probiotic every day. But it's very important when you get a probiotic that you get. Probiotics are nothing but good bacteria. And when they count the number of bacteria, it can be in the millions with an M or the billions with a B. The objective should be to get a product that has bacteria that's in the count of a billion. Billions of colony forming units, or CFUs. That is the unit of measure for probiotics, and preferably more than one colony. Our product has 3, and each is at the billions with a B unit of measure. And so that gives your body something a little different look, but it also gives you an effective and therapeutic dose. The worst thing about some supplements and some medications, for that matter, is that people take them, but they take a dose that's inappropriate. I have patients that take vitamin D at 500 international units per day, vitamin D3, the one I'm talking about, and they should be taking 5,000. 500 is a total and complete waste of time. It doesn't do anything. There's no benefit for them. It does not boost the immune system. It has little benefit, but that's one of the doses is readily available. It may be less expensive than the higher doses, so people will get it. And but it just doesn't give you that effect. So very important that you take a therapeutic dose and take it regularly. The worst supplement is the one that's sitting on your kitchen counter not being taken. Hey, Darlene Rogers Heath, thank you so much for acknowledging me, Dr. MJ Collier, the hip hop doc. What do you recommend for menopause? I have a procedure that I do in my office where we evaluate your hormonal status, and then we treat you with what are called bioidentical hormone replacements, a BHRT. This is the state of the art as far as hormone replacement is concerned, because we evaluate all of the hormones in your body, see what your needs, wants, and more importantly, what's going to make you the best you that you can be. So a treatment protocol is customized for you directly and individually. This technology is available lots of places now. It started off, it was actually developed in the 1960s, 1964, I do believe, in Europe. and then it came over to the United States, but nobody talked about it. It was just saved for all the beautiful people. So you could get it in places like Palm Springs, California, some of these elegant $1 million spas, or West Palm Beach, Florida, where all the stars would go, and all the athletes and everybody. But regular people didn't have any awareness of this until the internet. And once the information became available, people started finding out about it. And now you too can have bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It works for men and for women. It is absolutely amazing. Talking about being the best you that you can be. It helps with everything from hot flashes in women to a decreased libido in men and women, erectile dysfunction in men, increase in body fat. So it decreases your body fat, increases your muscle mass, helps you sleep better, helps with things like depression, those hormonal swings that ladies get as they start to enter what's called the menopausal age. That all goes away, and you're the sweet, nice person that you were 20 years ago. So I've had the best compliment I could get. I've had men tell me, thank you for giving me my wife back. Now she's back. She's loving again. She likes me again, all because we did bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And I had women thank me. Please thank me for giving me my husband back. He's not the grouch that he has been. He doesn't come home and fall asleep in front of the television every night. Now he's actually up, gives me the attention that I want and need. And we are a very, very loving couple. So great, great recommendations. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I do it at my center called Ageless Atlanta, but it's available all over. So as your local, I'll come from Florida. I have patients that come from Florida. I have patients that come from California for this therapy. So however you like to do it, darling, great question. We appreciate you watching and listening. My husband had COVID pneumonia and is on oxygen. How do we get his lungs strengthened at home to be able to keep his oxygen level over 92 without coughing? LaDonna, I hate to tell you, it's going to be a long process. One, because the inflammation from the COVID has caused respiratory distress syndrome in your husband's lung tissues on the cellular level. They are inflamed, and one of the good things is you can use anti-inflammatories, natural anti-inflammatories, everything from turmeric to curcumin to the omega-3 fish oil to vitamin D therapy, all are recommended. The other things I talked about, the elderberry extract and the zinc, etc. Those are for the acute disease state and the prevention of disease. But when you're in the healing phase, or you possibly will have long COVID, it's important that you give the body those things that it needs to heal, and anti-inflammatories will do that. And again, vitamin D, omega-3 fish oil, all great natural anti-inflammatories. Some of the other things that you may have heard about, curcumin, turmeric, all good as well. I would start those, even the probiotics, to do so. He might have problems with coughing for a while until his lungs heal. But fortunately, you got him out of the hospital. He's in a position that he needs to have his lungs strengthened, because that COVID pneumonia is nasty. When people traditionally get pneumonia, it only affects one lung. You've heard the infamous term double pneumonia. That's the one that's really bad and most people do not survive. Well, when you get a COVID infection, if it gives you pneumonia, it always gives you the double pneumonia. That is why people have to be on ventilators, because their lung function is so compromised. And so now they're using an even better therapy, where they put you on basically a lung bypass machine that oxygenates and it takes the CO2 out of the blood, puts oxygen into the blood. But these machines are rare and few and far between. So the hospitals that have them are using them gingerly. They literally have to have a committee meeting almost every time they put a patient on that treatment therapy now, because it's going to save a lot of people, but a lot of people would benefit from it that just can't get it. So that therapy is available, though, and it's one of those new things. But your husband is past that point. Now he just needs to heal. So give him all the time, attention, and love that you can. Give him those natural supplements and see if we can boost his immune system and allow him to heal and better. Thank you so much, LaDonna. That was a great question. Tanya Lewis, what are thoughts on Ozempic? I love Ozempic. Ozempic. 1 week injectable. You take it one injection per week. It makes you lose weight. It controls your diabetes, lowers and improves your hemoglobin A1C level. So it works wonderfully. You can use it with the lipo drops. I have lots of diabetic patients that are on that and products like it. There are multiple injectables that are like that. Some are daily injectables. The Ozempic happens to be a once a week injectable that works wonderfully. It is one of those products that I highly recommend. They have the similar molecule now has been released. The product is named Wegovy. WEGOVY. It is a once weekly injection that is targeted only for weight loss in people that are not diabetic. Why did they come up with this? Well, people that were diabetic and they were taking products like Ozempic were losing weight. And all their friends say, hey, I want to lose weight too. And they say, but you're not diabetic, so you don't qualify for the Ozempic. So they tweaked the molecule, did some more research in people who were not diabetic, and came up with the Wegovy product. So Wegovy is incredible. I'm using it in my weight loss facility for individuals that need a next level weight loss methodology. I'm also using it in conjunction with our entire lipo line of weight loss products. And so we're in real time right now. This has only been going on for a few months now, and we're seeing dramatic weight losses in individuals with this. So that's Wegovy, WEGOVY. Google it, look it up, find out more information about it. You have to see a doctor for it. You cannot be diabetic. You have to have a prescription to get it. They literally cannot manufacture it quick enough now. So there's a shortage of it. So if you got a prescription for it today, it may be 6 to 8 weeks before you actually get it. But once you do, you're going to have to enjoy the benefits of weight loss. But I have people that have prescriptions in hand. They're waiting to receive the Wegovy. But in the meantime, they're losing weight with the lipo drops line. And I tell people several things. Weight loss is one, what supplements you're taking that would allow your body to lose more weight quicker. And so sometimes it takes one supplement, sometimes it takes two, sometimes it takes three. Do you also want to flatten your tummy? Then you want our belly fix combination, which is the lipo cleanse and the probiotics along with the lipo drops formulations. So go to our website, lipodrops.com. See what it will tell you what you need and what you want. First, you decide what you want, and then it will tell you what you want and what you need, and make a recommendation based on your particular circumstance that is unique to you. So you will find that some people want to lose a lot of weight quickly. Well, no, everybody wants to lose a lot of weight quickly, but sometimes it's more practical to lose a lot of weight over a longer period of time. And so we'll give you the guidance to do that and direct over how you lose. But our objective is to try to get a minimum of 5 pounds off of you per month. That is what every weight loss program in America promises you. That is our absolute minimum. But our objective is to do 10, 15, 20 pounds. But 5 pounds a month is standard in the weight loss industry. But if you need to lose 60 pounds, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. So you want to be more aggressive, which means more products to make your weight loss more rapid, more substantial. And so that is where, it's important to go to the website, lipodrops.com, take the weight loss survey and determine what it is that you need. Make sure you go to every page, make sure you read about every product. So you'll see why does Dr. Collier recommend this product for this problem, etc. And then you have a greater understanding about that. But remember, you can tune in here and you can get all your questions answered. So Latanya Lewis, there you go. My 8-year-old niece developed miss after being exposed to COVID-19. She's home now. What are the long-term effects? I'm not sure what that acronym means. I know that the younger people are getting the chronic inflammation that they're doing, and they're also getting a total body inflammatory response that is doing that. I think that's what you're referencing. Long-term effects, we don't know what the long-term effects are. We're learning in real time what's happening, because every day we have people that are suffering now from long COVID symptoms. A lot of facilities now have, pardon me, I need a drink of water. A lot of facilities now are creating COVID clinics for individuals that are suffering long-term from COVID symptoms. And so we are learning what works best in those individuals. But I state once again, unequivocally, that I have found that, and the things that I place my patients on, omega-3 fish oil, probiotics, vitamin D, I continue that. But no matter what your health status, no matter what your disease state, to boost your body's immune system, to make your body the healthiest, the best that it can be, I recommend and take those products myself on a daily basis. Dr. Collier's trifecta, if you will, the omega-3 fish oil, the vitamin D3, and the probiotics on a daily basis. And so those things are things that I think have great benefit for almost any inflammatory state in the body. And again, most diseases are inflammation. And so I think that this is the case with your 8-year-old niece. She has the total body inflammation and it's causing that problem with her. So she can take age-appropriate doses of vitamin D. She can take age-appropriate doses of omega-3 fish oil. Most places like GNC and the vitamin shop can counsel based on size, age, and weight. What would be the appropriate dose for those individuals, or you can consult with a pediatrician, and hopefully they have an awareness of using supplements. And I always tell patients, supplements are not instead of prescription medications. They are in addition to. So your doctor may want to treat, if you have an infection, your doctor may want to treat you with an antibiotic because that's what will kill the infection. But I also, when I place patients on antibiotics, I always recommend that they take probiotics because you don't want to sterilize the good bacteria in the gut from taking an oral antibiotic, because then you'll get diarrhea. You can get what's called a C. difficile infection of the gut, and that's a horrible circumstance to be in. Whereas probiotics will prevent that from happening. So probiotics are pretty much standard now. When a person is hospitalized and they're placed on particularly high dose triple antibiotic therapy, routinely they're placed on probiotics to protect their guts and intestines from the good that antibiotic is doing. Because when antibiotics, some particularly antibiotics that are called bactericidal, that means they kill the bacteria almost when they touch them. The inflammatory response is very active and it is very strong. So that inflammation just from curing the infection can cause other problems. And the probiotics stop that from happening. Anti-inflammatories such as the vitamin D stop that from happening. Omega-3 fish oil stops that from happening. So again, it's always a need for supplements to go along with your traditional medicinal therapies. Great question, Sabrina. LaWanda Prather, my 93-year-old dad has 2 stents in his heart. Is he considered a booster candidate? Yes, he is, because he has cardiovascular disease. And so if the boosters right now would, well, for any of them, right now, the one that's being promoted is the Pfizer. The Moderna booster program at first and initially, Moderna did not even apply for booster status. Then they subsequently did apply for it. But if your father had 2 doses of the Moderna, he probably literally doesn't need a booster from Dr. Collier's perspective, because again, it's such an effective vaccine. That may change tomorrow. But as of now, with the data that we have and with the information that we have and the current status of the COVID vaccine, the COVID virus, including the Delta variant, the Moderna is very effective. Again, the loss of efficacy with the Pfizer is still, even though the antibody count is less, there are 2 other mechanisms that fight infection. There are B memory cells and killer T cells in your immune system that are activated upon re-exposure. So the question is it even important that the antibody count is lower? Because it does not have seemed to decrease the efficacy. In other words, patients are still not getting bad diseases. People still aren't dying. People still aren't being hospitalized that have had the vaccine versus those who have not had the vaccine. So because there has been no drop in actual overall efficacy, that is why the CDC and the FDA pushed back against the president's initiative to start boosters on Monday, September the 20th, because there just was no real indication to do so. And there's still no indication to do it, even though Pfizer is applying for booster status. There's literally been no change in status from the Pfizer vaccine. So why people they're suggesting that people can get the Pfizer booster now is still not being recommended, except in cases where people are immune compromised or individuals have had a solid organ transplant, such as a kidney transplant or a lung transplant or a heart transplant. Your father's age does not necessarily disqualify him, but I have a patient that's in their 90s. They have one of the highest antibody counts of any of my patients that has been measured. And they are, again, they've had only 2 doses of the vaccine. I have patients that are in their 40s that have had 2 doses of the vaccine, and their counts are very low. So the question becomes, why would I give a booster to the 90-year-old when they've had such a great and robust immune response? It's just not necessary to do so. So overall, just stating that anybody over 65 should qualify for a booster just is not clinically sound. That decision literally should be made between the patient and their provider after a true analysis of their immune status versus just routinely doing it. But on the other hand, I don't think it will hurt to get a booster. I don't think it's going to harm him in any way. So again, it'll be his decision to make, but hopefully in conjunction with his healthcare provider, his doctor that has been taking care of him, that knows him better than anybody else, to determine whether he qualifies or should have a booster. Great question, LaWanda. I appreciate that. Trish Simmons, I have lost weight. Will lipo drops help lose belly fat? Lose the muffin top, the muffin top, the muffin top with lipo drops. Yes, because that's the place where you have to lose weight. The altering the metabolism, address losing weight from places you cannot traditionally exercise it away from. There are cases of people that do 1,000 crunches a day and they still don't have a six pack. They have, matter of fact, they got 6 inches of fat on top of a six pack. You can't see the six pack, but they have it because you cannot target weight loss. But what you can do is target the metabolism of fat, and you lose fat from wherever you have fat. So places that you cannot traditionally exercise it away from, like under your chin, across your back in the bra strap area, ladies, under your arms, those lumps of fat that will get there, around the belly, the muffin top, as we say, that's right at the umbilicus level, of the saddlebags, the outsides of the thighs, the inside of the thighs, and now maybe touching and rubbing. All those places, if you have fat deposits there, if you alter your body's ability to metabolize fat, you're going to metabolize fat from places that you have fat deposits. So technically not targeting the weight loss, but the answer to your question is yes, it will help you lose the belly fat. So remember the catchphrase: lose a muffin top with lipo drops. So go to the website lipodrops.com. You might decide on the original lipo drops formulation. You may decide on the lipo drops maximum strength, which is 10 times as potent. You may decide on the lipo drops with the African mango, which has the combination of the lipo drops formula and African mango, which is an even greater appetite suppressant and metabolic booster. The African mango was a great discovery, and again, found that people who were eating African mango were losing weight, did not have weight problems if it was a regular part of their diet. So we extracted the best parts of the African mango, placed it in this formulation, and so you're getting the benefit of that combination with the Lipodrops formulation, the Lipodrops African mango formula. So one that we greatly endorse. It is there on the website, and again, I understand there's a promotion going on now, 2 for 1. So something to evaluate, something to look at, see what you think about as far as belly fat is concerned. Thank you, Trish. Great question. Demetra Carter, will blood thinners get rid of blood clots? That's what blood thinners do. They get rid of blood clots and prevent reclotting, so repeat clotting. Oftentimes, the most common areas that people readily know about are clots that form in the legs. Those clots, those are called deep vein thrombosis. They can break off, go through the veins in your body, and ultimately stop inside your heart. That's called, and then go through your heart and go to your lungs. Once it gets to the lungs, it can't get through because the vasculature is so tiny. So the further you go, the smaller the arteries and the veins get as you get to the periphery of the body. So as you're coming out to the body, you have the arteries. When you're returning back, you have the veins. The veins bring everything back to the heart. And as a clot enters the right side of the heart, no problem. But once it goes to the left side of the heart, it blocks the blood flow through the lungs. And so your blood is not able to get to the lungs and dump off its CO2 and pick up fresh oxygen. So you're literally drowning, even though you're not underwater, because your lungs are not able to function on a cellular level. So blood thinners are utilized to break the clot up because your lungs have a lot of residual capacity, and which means that you can block off more than half of the lung and still breathe just fine, which is why people survive blood clots. But there's a thing called a saddle embolism that blocks off both sides, both lungs, and that can be life-threatening and usually is and results in death. Or you can have multiple clots that block off the entire portion of the lung. And so the primary therapy clot busters, there's a medication called TPA that will dissolve a clot in almost real time. That's why you give it to a person that's having a stroke due to a clot, to break the clot up and clear the blood vessel up. And 1 minute they're paralyzed on one side, that's called hemiparesis, and their face is drooping and they can't talk. They get the TPA, and 3 hours later they're talking and symptom free, like nothing happened. So that is the difference. TPA is a clot buster. Then blood thinners are utilized to continue or break a clot down slowly over time, because a clot will just, your body will reabsorb a clot. That's the usual formulation. And then it will, let's say if it blocks the tunnel, your body will actually recanalize and re-drill a hole through that clot and create a new tunnel. Over that's called remodeling, and that happens over time. And blood thinners are just utilized to help your body do that, so that you don't have another clot happen while your body is fixing itself in the problem. So if a person has had an episode of deep vein thrombosis or a pulmonary embolism, they will be placed on blood thinners for some period of time. Uh, that time varies depending upon so many factors. It can be as little as a month. It can be as long as 6 months. And then sometimes you come off but if you ever have a recurrence of the clot, if you ever have a recurrent clot, then you're probably going to be on blood thinners for the duration. Now, the number one and most easy to utilize blood thinner is an aspirin. That's why people say take a low dose aspirin, 81 milligrams daily, because it prevents those tiny little clots that result in heart attacks and strokes. And that is why it's so effective and efficient to doing so. The standard dose of any aspirin is 325 milligrams. An extra strength aspirin is 500 milligrams. You normally are instructed to take 2 aspirin. So it's either that's 325 times 2, so that's 650, or 1,000 milligrams every 4 to 6 hours is traditional aspirin dose. But again, to prevent heart attacks and strokes, the recommended dose is 81 milligrams, or a low dose aspirin. They used to say baby aspirin, but now it's low dose, and most of them can be chewed. They can be placed under the tongue. So if a person is having chest pain in an acute situation, and there's any doubt in your mind that the person is having a heart attack, then you give them aspirin and let them chew it up, and that might save their life. Same thing with a clot. If they have a clot in their brain or a stroke, it's going to help them tremendously. If they have a stroke where a blood vessel has burst, the aspirin is not going to harm them substantially. It will slow down blood clotting, but it's the benefit far outweighs the potential risk of doing that. And so now, if you confirm that they have that kind of a rupture of a blood vessel, then you don't want to give them aspirin for that. But if it's any doubt in your mind, one dose of aspirin may save them, and it probably won't do much harm to them if it's the other kind of stroke, which is so that's the embolic stroke, where a blood vessel is blocked by a clot or by a cholesterol plaque or something obstructive. And there's the vascular stroke, where the blood vessel literally bursts, pops open, the person is literally bleeding inside of their head. That's when they have to take and drill holes in the skull, or sometimes remove large portions of it to allow the brain to swell, expand, etc. Remove those clots. The clots on the outside are called epidurals. The ones that are inside are called subdural hematomas. And so the epidural is much more dramatic and requires much quicker action. A lot of people walk around with subdurals and have had them from a fall or a bump in the head. They don't even know that they have it until sometimes it just spontaneously resolves itself, and they never knew that they had it, unless for whatever reason they happen to get a CT scan or an MRI of the head. Great question, Demetra. We appreciate that. What I recommend for estrogen dominant and insulin resistance? I'm intermittent fasting for the insulin issue and not eating sugar. So estrogen dominance, I have no idea how to handle. Where estrogen is supposed to be the dominant hormone, but sounds like you might have some hormonal imbalances, and that needs to be evaluated. This is where bioidentical hormone replacement therapy and evaluation for such might be the best therapy for you. So it requires a higher level of evaluation, not just measuring the level and saying, oh, you got more estrogen than you do a progesterone, or the female hormones are FSH, LH, luteinizing hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, estrogen or estradiol, and progesterone. Those things are in balance and work together or against each other. It just depends on the circumstance. So an entire evaluation of your hormonal status needs to be made, and then adjustments made as you're doing so. So intermittent fasting does help with the insulin issue, and not eating sugars. People that don't eat sugar say they lose more weight. I'm not sure whether you have to totally not eat sugar. It's just like people that say, well, I stopped eating bread. There are people in multiple cultures around the world that eat bread 24/7, and they're not overweight. So I'm not sure whether bread is a culprit that or the bad news that people seem to think it is. I like bread. I'm a bread eater, so I'm not sure. So again, just one of those things that it requires a little further evaluation, Tanya. So again, you need to work with. either an endocrinologist or your OBGYN to determine what you need to do with your hormonal status, balance you out. As you need your hormones balanced. That's the formal term. Okay, Marlene says, I need the lipo drops. I'm going to the website after this live is over. Is there any medication that will prevent you from taking the lipo drops? Lipo drops is not conflict with any prescription medication, any other supplements. You place the lipo drops under your tongue. It is just amino acids. There's nothing in it that should conflict or have any problem or a conflict with any other medication. So you can feel very comfortable doing it and taking so. No matter what your disease state is, you ought to be able to take the lipo drops with no problem. So thank you for that question, Marlene. That's a great question. All right. So what's the difference between antibiotic infusion therapy and the COVID vaccine? Well, it's not an antibiotic infusion. It's an antibody infusion. There are 3 products available. One has 1 antibody, the other has 2, and one has 3 different antibodies in it. And so the antibodies are literally artificial versions of the antibodies that your body will make when you get the COVID vaccine. So, but they're immediately available. The difference in the antibody infusion therapy is you're getting active antibody therapy from the first moment they enter your body. When you get the vaccine, your body has to take 2 to 4 weeks to generate the antibodies that are being produced. That's why you're not considered fully vaccinated until 2 weeks after your final dose, because your body has to make the antibodies. And so all the vaccine does is tell your body to manufacture. It cuts the factory on. It turns on the Ford plant or the GM plant. The cars are now rolling down the assembly line. And so, but they have to be assembled. So the workers have to do that, and that takes time. And there's no way to speed that process up. But some people that's why when people are in the hospital, they're about to go on the ventilator and they say, please give me the vaccine. I'm dying. I don't want to die. It's too late at that point, because the vaccine is not going to kick in and start making antibodies for at least 2 weeks, and they need much more acute therapy. That is where the antibody infusion therapy works, because it's instant fighting of the vaccine, of the virus, so to speak. So that is why that therapy was developed. It is a unique therapy, and one that we have had the capability of utilizing for at least a decade, but we have not. But now I think it's going to become standard therapy for a lot of disease states, because they can design these antibodies to fight virtually every infection. So it's just a matter of doing so. And so they're going to be able to customize. They'll take a sample of your blood or a sample of the infection and go into a lab and create an antibody that's unique for that particular infection, and give it to you in a matter of hours. And before you know it, your infection is cured. Whereas before, they'd have to do cultures, wait for the culture to grow. That was 48 to 72 hours, tested against the 15 or 20 antibiotics that they wanted to test against. Some worked, some resistant, some not working at all. The process was long and laborious, and oftentimes people would die while they were waiting to go through the process. And so that's why they would say, well, don't start treating a person with antibiotics until you know what the infection is. And by that time, the person is going downhill while they're waiting for a culture to come back. So we are beyond that now. We are now in Star Trek, Star Wars territory as far as the house of medicine and infectious diseases are concerned. So we can expect great things in doing so. Okay, Antonio, we are over by a minute. I'm going to answer one final question, and then we're going to close it down and thank everybody for their time, energy, and effort and attention this evening. Remember, you can follow me on all social media at ASK Dr. MJ. Follow me on Facebook. I'll follow you back, I promise. What are the effects of the K2 and D3 together? And so vitamin K and vitamin D3 are great complements to each other. And oftentimes there are new now products that have vitamin D3 in up to 10,000 international units dose. Along with vitamin K. The problem is, if you are on blood thinners, or if your blood is thin, or you have difficulty clotting, vitamin K is not what you want to take. And so for people that have that issue, you can't take the vitamin K with it. So just to remove that as a problem, most of the products are now going back to just the vitamin D3 separately. But vitamin K, if you have a normally functioning immune system and you have a normally functioning clotting system, that the vitamin K is very good for a variety of things, including supplementing the D3 and decreasing inflammation, also helping with your body from forming spontaneous clots that can be negative in type, things that cause pulmonary embolisms, like clots from, say, going on a long bus ride or a long car trip, etc. Also, the K has its definite and definitive benefits in doing so, but it is a more sophisticated question than just deciding I'm going to take the combination together. I think a person's unique medical history has to be taken into consideration in doing so. So great question, Tricia. I'm presuming that, wow, that's a great picture of you. Is that OB? Does that mean obstetric gynecology? I'm not sure. But very good. And thank everybody once again. Thank you, Antonio, my producer, for putting together the show, handling and screening all of your questions. And again, making this the experience that we always wanted to be. So welcome once again. And thank you for a great show. Your health is important. Ask Dr. MJ. Go to the website, lipodrops.com, to get more information about your weight loss journey and how you want to be during this upcoming holiday season. Thank you so much and good night.